Hey witches, if you are enjoying Waking Up the Witch, then you're definitely going to want to check out my magical shop, Moonbee's Wellness in Medford, Oregon. We have a curated collection of crystals, incense, sage, witchy books, tarot, oracle, and so much magic made locally here in the Rogue Valley. Whether you're just beginning your witchy path or you've been on this journey for quite a while, we have so many items to support where you are in your journey. And we ship anywhere in the US, so no need to be local. But Moonbees is more than just a shop. We are also a sacred space and supportive to your healing journey. I'm a Reiki master, and I also offer a lot of intuitive sessions, including past life readings and past life regression sessions. And all of this can be done virtually online, so I can help you no matter where you're at. Come visit us in Southern Oregon or follow Moonbees Wellness on Instagram and Moonbees_Medford on TikTok. And remember, magic's this way.
This episode of Waking Up the Witch is brought to you by Taylor Pickett Styles. I'm Taylor Pickett, and I am an intuitive hairstylist in Southern Oregon. I offer in-person services as well as online tutorials on how to care for your curly hair, how to properly shampoo your hair. If you're a hairstylist, I offer lots of education and one-on-one consulting on how to build your clientele and take care of your clients. If you're interested in any of these services, please reach out to me. There will be a link in the bio. I also offer organic hair care from Innocence Organic Beauty, and you can also buy that online through me, link in the bio, and also on my Instagram page, Taylor Pickett Styles. I also have a TikTok page if you're into just talking a little bit more deeply about things, going into deeper dives about hair care, self-love, and self-worth. My TikTok handle is Southern Oregon Curl. And don't forget, tame nothing, nourish everything. Enjoy this episode. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Amber.
And this is
Waking Up the Witch. We're your neighborhood witches. Each week, we talk about all things witchy and connect with other humans in a storytelling format about navigating life on this floating rock.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience. But while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we are always open to feedback on how we can do better.
The views and opinions of our guests don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Waking Up the Witch. Now, let's go, ghouls. Hello, welcome back to this beautiful story of Amber's life. We are just going to hop right back into part 2.
If this is your first episode that you're catching, make sure to go back to the episode before where you can hear the beginning of my story.
Enjoy.
So the good thing about being in the army is at least for us at the time, was that the soldiers have to go out into the quote unquote field and do like field work for a couple weeks at a time. So they're like away from the family, or, they get deployed for a little while. I don't think he ever had like a major deployment while he was in the army, but we got a lot of breaks from him being there.
Thank God.
Which was so nice, and like the whole family felt the relief. Like,
do you remember them fighting a lot?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, they fought all the time. Like, I think they tried to like keep it from us. Like, we'd have to go to our rooms. Like, we were punished so that they could fucking fight in a way. But yeah, like he was gone on and off, which was good. And but when he was around, God, he was just such a fucking dick, like all the time. Like everything I did was wrong. And like, again, having to like take care of everything at home. And he was just such a fucking slob. Like our house was always so messy. Like in middle school, when I was counting the days of a shower, like and they smoked inside. So like, not only was I the kid going to school smelling like cigarettes, but also I was smelling like him because our house smelled
Ugh.
bad because he wasn't taking care of
What
himself.
did your
Like,
mom think about that?
I don't know. Like, I think she was just working so much that, like, she's just trying to survive. Like, I don't even think she was fully
Notice.
present
Yeah.
herself, like, or had the chance to even, like, deal with it
Yeah.
because she's just trying to make sure we're all, like,
Yeah.
staying alive. I could, like, smell it on my hair ties, like, it was so gross, like, I was the smelly kid. So, like, when you tell me I smell good, that is, like, one of the best compliments you could ever give me. I'm still so concerned with how I smell all the time, and I think that's why. So, yeah, I got my first boyfriend out there. He was a little bit of a player. He smoked a lot of pot, so I was the first time I ever smoked pot was with him. I became, like, the go-to babysitter on our base, so, like, our families, and then somehow it eventually trickled up to the officers, which are, like, the higher paid soldier people, and so then I started babysitting for some of the officers and making, like, $60 a night, instead of a week. There was even one family that had to cancel on me kind of last minute. They still paid me,
Amazing.
and I was told to tell them I didn't want it, and the wife was like, "You're gonna take this, you deserve it." And I was like, "Yes," because I really wanted to keep the money, of
Yeah,
course,
of
but I
course.
was, like, told that I didn't need to take the money. And yeah, so, like, I made friends with this other girl, her name was Jessica, and her brother, Marco, or Marcos, I don't remember. And so the 4 of us were all hanging out together, and I think she might have been a grade below me, if I remember correctly. Um, and we were hanging out all the time, all of us, and Brent, my boyfriend, kept, of course, wanting to have sex, and he had had sex before. He had sex for the first time when he was 12, which is, like,
Gross.
so crazy to
That
me.
seems not good.
So crazy. And by, like, an older woman or
Okay,
something, like,
yeah, that's
crazy.
just
Um,
another weird thing, though. That's still like being molested.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally,
But boys
totally.
like
It's
pretend like,
different.
oh, it was with my babysitter, so I'm like cool. And
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
was cool for him
oh,
for sure, and I was like, 12 is really young. Like, I still feel young to have sex.
yeah.
Um, and
Ew.
yeah. Yeah,
12-year-old boys
totally.
are
Gross, they're
so
boys,
little.
they're boys, and he was short, like, he was, like, an inch shorter than me.
They're so
They're
little.
so little, and yeah, like, I end up eventually having he ended up being the guy that took my virginity, and it was on Christmas, and we were spending the whole day together. We're in my room, I had just gotten, like, the Best of Friends VHS tapes, like 3 of them, like volume
Amazing.
1, 2, and 4 or something like that. So I'm, like, obsessed, I just wanna be in my room all day watching Friends, which still checks out.
Same.
And his brother was over hanging out with my sister. I still have the futon bunk bed, and we're making out on the
How do you get that to
bottom.
Germany?
They, like, pack everything up
Cool.
and ship it out there, and you have to wait, like, 2 months or whatever, but then you finally get it.
Okay.
And we are, like, making out. My brother and my sister and his brother are on the top bunk, I think, fooling around too. We got friends on, and he's like, "Are you ready?" And at this point, like, I'm full on Catholic and, like, have gone to, like, this what did they call it? It was, this was back in Colorado with my nice first boyfriend.
Confirmation.
No, well, I had done the confirmation, but it was, an abstinence, like, it was like a party, basically.
Yeah.
Like, we go to this other place, and we're all gonna party and pledge our abstinence. And so me and my, like, freshman boyfriend had, like, pledged our abstinence to each other. And we had, like, chastity rings and everything that I, like, wore, and I was like, "I will remain a virgin. I want it to be so special, and I won't have sex until I'm married," and that was, like, how I felt then. And so, like, Brent, like, kept pressuring me. I was like, "No, you know how I feel about that." And so we're, like, making out, and, like, a couple minutes go by, and he's like, "How about now?" And I'm like, "No." And then so we're making out again, and then a couple minutes later, he's like, "How about now?" And then it was, like, kind of just that defeat, like, feeling, I think from the same thing of when I was, like,
Mhm.
trying to tell my story, where I'm just like, I'm just sick of, like,
Get it over with.
saying, like, how I feel and not being heard, and so I guess, like,
Yeah.
and so with our siblings above us, we have sex on the bed for the first time, and, like, it fucking hurt so
Not good
bad.
sex,
It
yeah.
lasted all of 30 seconds probably, and then it was, like, over, and that was that, and then he went off to go play in the snow outside, and I'm, like, bleeding all over my bed, and my parents are sleeping in the next room, and I'm like,
What the fuck?
"Okay, well, that was that." And then, like, all of a sudden, there's, like, this weird thing that's happening throughout the rest of the day where, like, he's outside playing and I'm inside, and then, like, I'm like, "Well, okay, he's been wanting to go outside play," so, like, I get all dressed up to, like, go outside and play with him also, and by the time I'm all dressed and strapped up and it's, like, fucking crazy snow outside, so, like, you gotta put on everything. By the time I go out there, he's coming inside and he's done, so I'm like, "Okay," so I take off everything again, we go back in the bedroom, and then he wants to go play, and it was, like, this whole, like, back and forth, like, I could never, like, meet him outside to go play, and then he comes in and he and I start fighting because he's, like, getting frustrated because 'cause I'm not wanting to go outside and play with him, and I'm like, "But I've been trying to, like, go out there, and every time I go out there, then you're, like, back inside again." And he just seems, like, a little weird, and all of a sudden, he fucking, like, passes out. Like, I don't know if he has a seizure or if he's faking it or
What?
what the fuck is happening, but he just, like, passes out, and I can't, like, wake him up at all, and I don't know, like, what happened, and I'm freaking out, and like, I don't know what to do, and eventually, like, I don't even know how long it was. It felt like a really long time, and then all of a sudden, he's, like, awake, and he doesn't remember anything. And so
What
I'm
the
like, "We were
fuck are you
just
talking
yeah,
about?
I really don't even fucking know. And so I'm, like, I was like, "Are you okay? Like, what happened? What was that?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "You just, like, blacked out, like, passed out, like, I couldn't wake you up. Like, we were just fighting, and then all of a sudden you, like, blacked out." And he's like, "What? That's really weird." And he's like, "What were we fighting about?" And so I'm, like, realizing, like, he doesn't remember anything that was going on. I was like, "Do you remember what happened today?" And he's like, "No, what are you talking about?" Like, we were, like, hanging out, watching Friends. And I was like, "We had sex." And he's like, "No, no, no, like, you don't want to do that." And I'm like, "Holy fuck, he doesn't remember that we had sex." Like, this thing that was so important and big, he doesn't
What?
have a memory of, like, in the same fucking day. I still don't know if I was being gaslit or if something's wrong with his brain or what the fuck happened. Like,
This is
what?
crazy.
Like, he doesn't remember having sex with me. This is crazy. So now I'm, like, kinda traumatized from that,
Yeah, I
and,
get it.
like, then, like, whenever we go back to school, so it's, like, a week later or whatever, a week and a half later, we go back to school, and all of a sudden, like, we're on the bus, and again, it's, like, 45 minutes. We used to fool around, like, on the bus, like, it didn't just go straight to sex, like, I had touched his penis before. We used to, like I used to give him hand jobs on the bus, like, underneath our coat, like,
Crazy.
so weird, and,
To be a bus driver.
so weird. Kids had to have known, right? We're
They
not
were probably doing it
You're not
too.
being very discreet. So gross to me. Uh, Fucking
Side
weird.
note, like, we're talking about me losing my virginity. I'm like, my mom's like, just heard the part where you lost your virginity. I'm like, cool. Thanks, mom.
I mean, everyone does at some point.
I just didn't really think about her when
Your
I was
mom
telling my
listening.
story. And I'm like, she'll be listening to this too. Hey,
Yeah,
mom.
totally. So weird. Yeah, so, we get to school, and all of a sudden, like, him and Marcos are fighting, and I
His
don't
brother.
no, this is so my best friend Jessica, her older brother, Marcos,
Mm-hmm.
they're fighting in the halls, like, punching each other.
Okay.
All of a sudden, and we have no idea, or at least I don't know what's going on. And then after the fight, Brent breaks up with me. And I'm like, "What? Like, what just happened?" Like, there's no explanation. I have no idea what's going on, at least in this moment and for several moments to go, like, days, weeks, months. And then I start hearing, like, because now I'm not talking to him. I'm crying to Jessica. I don't know what's happening. She's claiming to not know what's happened. And then I meet my friend Marie, who hated me before this, like, she was kind of like, she was older than me, and she was a little bit more ghetto, a little bit more rugged, and she hated me for whatever reason because she was a teenager with an attitude and trying to be cool. And all of a sudden she's like, "You know he's cheating on you, don't you?" And she used to try to tell me this, like, before, and I was like, "No, no." And, like, "Yeah, with your best friend, Jessica." I was like, "No, we're all just really close." And she's like, "Okay, girl, whatever. You believe whatever you wanna believe." And so then it's like Marie and I become friends now that I'm, like, not with Brent, and she's telling me this, and I'm starting to realize, and so I confront Jessica, and turns out, before I ever lost my virginity to him, they slept together while we were together on my birthday, and so he took her virginity also, which I'm sure now thinking about it, that's why Marcos and Brent were
Yeah.
fighting that day and why he broke up with me afterwards, and I was like, "Oh my god, crazy." So now I can't be friends with any of them, and me and Marie are all of a sudden, like, super besties, super clicked. She's been doing the whole Germany thing right this whole time, not me. I had no idea what was going on. And so I started spending the night over at her house all the time, and in Germany, you can drink when you're 16. Like, you there's no 21 rule. So I started spending the night at her house. She doesn't have, like, she has curfew, but it's, like, not enforced, and we start going out to the bars out in Germany, like, outside of our base, and having a good old time. She takes me out for the first time. I'm drinking everything because 'cause I'm, like, wild and free. Did not do well that first night out, like, I'd had 7 shots of tequila.
Jesus Christ, Amber.
I had a beer, I had some Irish drink, I had some other cocktail, just, like, wily, having a good old time. I went home that night, I didn't even spend the night at her house. Sean was sleeping, luckily. I was a little this was also weird, we were out with this other guy, I don't remember his name, and he walks me home, and he had a big crush on me, and he's trying to make out with me, and, like, in these, like, barrack apartments that we lived in, all of the laundry rooms are at the basement, and we go in the basement and he's, like, forcefully making out with me, like, trying to, like, have sex with me, and he puts his hand in my pants, and I'm like, "Gotta go home, boy, like, this is not what I want, I don't wanna be doing this." I'm fucking wasted, and so I'm like, "I'm gonna be late, like, you don't understand, like, I have a curfew, and I'm gonna be in so much trouble, like, you don't even understand how much trouble I'm gonna be in." Luckily, no one was awake, just my sister, she was having a slumber party with a friend. I go in the room, my mom had made she used to make this, like, crab salad. She'd get, like, imitation crab and noodles and, like, some vegetables and put, like, Italian dressing on it, and I used to love this, and so, like, my sister brings me some because I was so hungry. I was wasted. I'm, like, eating it, and I, like, pass out on her bed, and I just, like, can't eat it because it's not good anymore, and I ask her for crackers, and I'm, like, barely eating a cracker lying on her bed. Pass out, wake up, puke all over her floor, like, not doing well. So my little sister, who we didn't really get along as frequently as we did, is cleaning up my puke on the floor. And the next morning, my mom comes in and there's, like, a bowl on the floor, and I'm lying in bed, and she's like, "What are you doing in your sister's room?" I'm like, I don't know. Just, like, fell asleep in here." And she's like, "Why is there a bowl here? Why is there Lysol here?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't feel good. I got sick last night." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so then I was like, "I gotta go take a bath, like, I just gotta go take a bath." And so I go into the bath and I take some Pepto-Bismol and I, like, run in, puke all over the floor in there, like, don't make it to the toilet, so sick. Sitting in the bath and my mom comes in, she's like, "So are you hi, how was your night last night?" And I'm like, "Oh, it was good, it was fun." And it was, like, the first time, like, I was allowed to go out and do something fun. And so she's like, "Yeah, yeah, your sister told me you threw up last night." I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't really feeling good. I think I ate something bad and, like, tried to have the crab salad and it just didn't sit right." And she's like, "So, what'd you drink?" And immediately calls me out. I'm like, "Oh." And I was, like, a pretty good kid. Like, I didn't really misbehave. I was pretty good at rules. And I was like, "Tequila." And she's like, "Damn, tequila." And she's like, "How much tequila did you drink?" And I was like, 7 shots. And she's like, "Fuck, that's a lot." I was like, "And some other stuff." And she's like, You're feeling pretty shitty right now. That's enough punishment for today, but you're grounded for the next 2 weeks." And I'm like, "Okay, fair, fair."
She's like,
Um,
"You can be
yeah,
hungover
and she's like,
today,
"Not gonna punish you more. You're
but
already being
tomorrow."
punished." Yeah, so then I just started spending the night at Marie's house a lot, like because I knew I could be a little bit more wily, and I learned to not, like, drink everything. This is also why I really can't take shots anymore. I just cannot drink shots responsibly. It always ends
Well, me
and
neither,
really
but I
bad.
just keep doing it.
Well, I've learned my lesson plenty of times. Um, so yeah, so not too long after, I don't even know how this happened. So Marie, she's a year older than me. She had lots of several different kinds of boyfriends, and she was dating a soldier who wasn't much older either. I think he
Yeah.
was just a couple years older. And so
It only had to be 18,
yeah,
which yeah.
exactly. So it's like not too crazy, but like we're still in high school or
Yeah,
whatever. And I'm sure this happens a lot too, like overseas when soldiers
definitely.
are at, a base away from home too. So we go out with her boyfriend one night and I end up meeting this guy, Will, who's also a soldier. He's 18, so he's 2 years older than me. And like we end up like hitting it off. And now all of a sudden, like by the end of the night, he's my boyfriend. We were only really together for 2 weeks, but I was like he was my rebound, of, like, this relationship where I lost my virginity to a guy who also fucked my best friend and didn't remember that he took my virginity. And Will was so sweet. He was so, so sweet and loving, like, such a good guy. Like, I hope he's doing well out in the world, at least from my memory of him. Like, he was always so nice and patient and kind and, like, never ever, like, like, I was like, "I wanna have sex with you," and he was like, "Are you sure?" Like, and we never did, but he just was like, really tender and kind. And so we started they were getting ready to go be shipped off and deported to Kosovo for like a year and a half. So I literally was only going to like see him ever for this 2-week period. But at the time it seemed like this is my romance, my love forever, my soldier boy. So Marie and I started skipping school for like a week straight. We would skip school, we'd walk to the bus stop like we're supposed to, and then we walk right off base. And why are they not stopping us? Like there's people out, and also mind you, not just guards checking you in to make sure that you're American coming onto base, but like we're in like 9/11 times. Like I was in Germany on the army base when 9/11 happened. At this point, like we are past that and the base is so secure. Like going in and out, everyone's being checked. So why are we not being stopped when we're clearly supposed to be going to school?
Great question.
18-year-old soldiers checking people in at the front. They don't give a fuck. Hold on. Hair. So we skip school and like we go right to the gas station. We pick up our cigarettes, we get our Smirnoff Ice, and we immediately start drinking first thing in the morning. And then we would just go hang out at the McDonald's there. And you could drink at the McDonald's, you could do anything, you could smoke inside of the McDonald's. So we're just like feral hanging out here just to have 1 hour of their lunch break with us. And it's like right across the street from where their barracks are. So crazy to think. And there's literally, like, pictures of us in this time where I'm like, I was such a child. Like, I was 16, but I look like a fucking child. It's so crazy to think that, like, this time ever existed
I
in
was
my
in
life.
3rd
Like,
grade
so
when
young.
9/11 too, so
Yeah.
that's also, like,
So different.
you were in high school doing all this stuff
Yeah.
and
Just being like, this was my wild
or just the
time
age
for
gap
sure.
is
Yeah.
funny.
And then I was, like, so brokenhearted and devastated when they, like, had to leave, and I really like, was so in love with him, and yeah, and I mean, he was just, like, a nice guy too, which, like, I had never really experienced that,
Yeah,
and, he would write me letters, but then I wasn't getting them, I found out later.
'cause
So
Sean was stealing them?
Sean was stealing them. So, like, somehow they
Mm,
had found out about him. Oh, because I had a bunch of pictures of us, like, and that was in the day when you had
yeah,
disposables and you'd have them printed out. And, also, it was, like, my first cell phone, and you had to, like, buy cards to fill the time on there and, like, to have minutes and texting abilities. So I was buying new cards, like, every single day to fill my phone
that
so
babysit
so that
money.
I could text him. Yeah, so crazy. Anyways, so we end up moving back to the States. Sean gets discharged from the army,
For what?
not honorably discharged. We don't really know. Again, it's like there's this story, and
What he told
Sean
your
is
mom.
playing it off like he saw things happen when they were in the field that, um, that like he could tell on the sergeants
Oh,
for, and,
whatever.
like, so he just knew some things or whatever, and it's like, well, that just doesn't make sense because if you know some things and, like, so they're discharging him so that he's no longer their
Oh,
problem,
what an
but who
idiot.
actually fucking
Yeah.
knows? And we moved back to New Mexico. This is right before my junior year in high school, and this is where, like, I reunite with Holly and Monica, and I'm just, like, haven't been with them since 8th grade, and, like,
So you
this is
finished high school with them?
yeah, so I
Oh my
finished high school
god,
with them, so
cute.
that was really great, and, yeah, at some point here, like, just to kinda tie a bow on Will, like, I end up receiving a phone call from him at my house where when Sean wasn't there, and he's like, "Have you been getting my messages? Have you been getting my letters?" And I was like, "What? No, like, I just thought you were, like, a thing of the past now," and he's like, "Okay, I didn't think so," and he's like, "I'm really glad I finally got a hold of you." So he had been, like, sending me things and, like, I wasn't getting them, like, Sean was making sure of it. He found out about him and was like, "You're not allowed," and even my mom was, like, kinda defending it, like, she's 16 and he's 18, it's really not that big of a difference, and, like, they didn't have sex, like, nothing happened, like, you're really overreacting here,
Yeah.
but he had to be in charge and be in control, and so I'll try to fast forward a little bit because I know my childhood is, like, really taking up, like, so much time here.
240.
Great.
But that's how I felt like mine was too. It's like there's so
There's
much that
so
happens and
much.
you're developing so quickly and like everything feels so important. And
Totally.
then you like, oh, early 20s can be kind of a blur
Totally.
also. So you can skip through those kind of
Totally.
quickly because you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was drunk, I had a job, it was fun, I
Yeah.
had friends,
Exactly.
life was good.
Exactly. Yeah, this is, like, really where, like, most of my life is, like, growing up where it just was, like, so influential, I feel, and so I start junior year at the high school that I'd, like, always dreamt that I would go to with my best friends from middle school. We get through the holidays. Things are just, like, worse than ever. Oh, and I forgot, right before we moved back, there was actually this moment Sean wanted to, like, leave Germany on a bang, and he took the quote unquote me and my friends out to go drinking together with him. And we were with my friend Steven, whose dad was an officer, and he had Steven take out money from his account to spend on all of us to go drinking.
That's crazy.
So crazy.
The
So we
audacity.
spent an officer's money through my friend. It's so fucking weird. And this night we end up like we're on this like playground area after we're all wasted outside of
With
where we live
Sean.
with Sean, and he and I are like he's saying this weird shit to me like, when I married your mom, I married all of you. And he's like saying this stuff and I'm like, this is like a little too weird, and I'm trying to like make my heart be heard about Will, about like trying to make him see how it's not so bad, how much I love Will, and like all of this stuff. And he just keeps saying it. When I married you, when I married your mom, I married all of you. And I'm just like feeling like really weird about this. And mind you, at this point too, like we know my sister's a bit of a pathological liar and like will copy whatever's happening to me. So I'm not telling her about this situation at all because I don't want her to be like, oh yeah, me too. And so we're back in New Mexico. I think this is right before we start school again, and my sister tells me about a conversation that Sean was having with her, where he's saying, "When I married your mom, I married all of you." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up." Like, I didn't wanna tell you because you know why, and, like, this is crazy, this happened. So I was like, "We have to tell mom, like, we can't keep living this life, like, he's already hurt us, and this is still happening." So we're living with my grandpa in the house that I lived in middle school. My grandpa took over that house, which is cool. We're all living there. We're like, "Mom, we gotta talk." We take a walk with my mom and we tell her we both separately had these conversations. I assure my mom that I never told my sister until she told me, like, this is happening and this is weird. And I don't know what it means, but it feels weird. And so, again, it's the same reaction where she's like, that look on her face, like she's going to throw up and like she can't believe it. And again, we all have to go confront him together. And he's like, "You're pulling this out of proportion. That's not what I mean. And you know it." And trying just to like rationalize everything. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean, but it's kind of a weird thing to say. And like, I just don't like, and all of the abuse from before comes back up. It's like that time. And he's like, "We already decided that was Malcolm." Da, da, da. And I was like, "But I know that it's not Malcolm. I know that it was you. I still know that it was you." And having to like reconfront him again. Again, nothing comes of this except a big old fight. So things are just like really heating. And then fast forward to like end of January, my junior year of high school. I come home, and we always used to go to my grandpa's house after school because we were in his school district. We were living outside of the school district. And my grandpa would always keep the house like fully stocked of food, whatever we wanted. And so I would always eat after school over there. And we get home, and like unless my mom was home, we weren't having like family dinner together. And my mom was working at AOL. And so like she couldn't be like contacted, but you could talk to her sometimes through AIM, but we weren't supposed to
It's
because she's at
hilarious.
work. Sean's on the computer diddling around.
For young people, AIM is like instant
Instant messenger.
messenger through dial-up
Yeah.
internet
Yeah.
before really even texting was much of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Sean's like, "Oh," I say something like, "I'm gonna go take a bath and like start to get ready to like wind down for the night." And he's like, "You need to go make yourself some dinner." And I was like, "I already ate at grandpa's house. I'm really not hungry." And he's like, "I don't care. You have to go make yourself some dinner." And I was like, "I'm not hungry. I just ate not too long ago." And he's like, "I don't care. You have to go make yourself some dinner." So I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, "Fine." So I'm like boiling something. I don't know. And I'm in the kitchen, and he's in the next room, which is where our computer was. And my sister Melody comes in. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I told him I wasn't hungry, but he insisted that I make some dinner to eat." And he comes in. He's like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "I'm just stating the facts." Melody asked what I'm doing and why I'm cooking because she also just ate. And I told her that you told me I had to cook because you said so. And he gets in my face, and he's pissed off because now I'm talking back or whatever. Our like kitchen was like kind of a weird square, small kitchen in this house. And he backs me into this corner, literally, and he's like so fucking close in my face. And he raises his fist, and he's never like, hit us that way. Like I was hit with a belt, I was hit with a wooden spoon, I'd been smacked across the face, but he's never like fucking fist up before. And there was something that kind of
Mm,
took over me in this moment where I was like,
I'm done with you.
this could be it. This could be the moment. Like I don't even fucking care what it
Yeah,
takes.
hit me.
And that's what I said. I said, "Do it." And he said, "What did you say?" And I said, "Fucking hit me. I dare you." And so he hits me, and like my memory, like I know I made a bigger deal out of this than it actually was. But he closed fist hit me in my jaw, which I have TMJ. Like my jaw locked up on me freshman year of high school. Like I've had TMJ ever since I was 14. And he hit me enough that like it hurt, but I also think there's just all this adrenaline in me that like it doesn't feel like it was as big of a hit as I made it out to be, which I purposefully inflated. But like also maybe he actually did hit me harder, and I just had all this adrenaline that it didn't hurt me as bad in the moment. I was like, "That's it. You're fucking done, bitch." And I go walking, and he grabs me by the back of my head, my hair, and pulls me down, is dragging me through the kitchen with my hair. My sister's like, "Holy shit, what the fuck's
Oh my
happening?" Like,
God.
it's never been this big before. And she goes to the computer, which is signed on to AOL, and she's like typing to my mom, "Mom, mom, mom, Sean's hit Amber. Like, he's dragging her." And my mom's like at work, like, "What the fuck?" And so she calls Lisa O'Sullivan, who I mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And, or no, no, that's not true. He ends up calling Lisa. So me and my sister end up in the bedroom. He ends up calling Lisa because Lisa's a threat. She'll put us into line, right?
Oh my God.
He calls Lisa. "These kids are out of control and need your help." And she always kind of knew like Sean was full of shit, and she tells Kanani, "Come on, something's gone on with the kids." Kanani grew up in ROTC. She grew up around guns. She grew up shooting guns. She showed up with a gun
Crazy.
to my house. She was ready if she needed to shoot this motherfucker.
Chills.
She's a senior in high school with her
That's
whole life ahead of her. She was
crazy.
like, "I'm gonna, if I need to, like in her fucking back ready." They show up, and Kanani's like with us hanging out. Lisa's talking to Sean. Okay, what's happened? He tells his story. She comes in. She's like, okay, what's happened? And I tell her, and he's like, they're fucking liars. They're fucking liars. And I was like, Lisa, you know I'm not lying. And she's like, Kanani, take the kids and take them back to our house, and I'll calm Sean down. And she has that look in her face, like she knows we're not lying, but she knows that she needs to be calm and like deal with the situation. So Kanani takes us all, and somewhere in there, my mom comes home. She leaves work, comes home. Sometime like the drive with Kanani, I was like, we fucking did it. I know this is it. Like, this is it. We've like, burn, motherfucker, burn. Like, he's finally gone. And hours go by, and my mom and Lisa show up, and my mom's crying like hysterically. And I'm like, Mom, you need to wake the fuck up. Like, this is not okay. Like, he fucking punched me. My face is red. He pulled out a handful of my hair. We're not doing this anymore. And at this point, I'm 16 and a half. No, I'm 17 and a half. And I'm like, I don't know how, but I'll fucking take care of this. And like, so we end up staying with Lisa for a while. Sean ends up packing up some shit and shipping off somehow to his dad in Texas, who that's where he lives now. And he lives, and we all get back home. And I'm like, okay, I think this finally is over. I think this hell is finally over. And it's so crazy because they were only married for 7 years, and this feels like the longest fucking time in my life. And
10 to 17 is your entire, like,
that's
teenage,
yeah,
like,
that's the biggest
half of your
development.
life
Yeah,
as a child.
yeah, it's crazy. And 2 weeks later, like, we're back at like, Lisa and they were like huge support. We were there all the time. She was making sure like my mom had everything that she needed and that we were taken care of and everything's going to be fine, but we're not doing that again. And, they had some phone conversations or whatever. And like, it had been 2 weeks, and my mom sits me down. She's like, I've been talking to him, and how would you feel if he came back? And I was like, I cannot believe we're having this conversation right now. I cannot believe that those words just came out of your mouth. Absolutely not. That's not happening. If he comes back here, I don't know how I do it, but I will take Melody and I will take Michael, and we will fucking leave. We're not doing this, Mom. This is not fucking happening.
Yeah, it's him or us.
Like, that this cannot happen. We're not doing this again. And she's like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And I'm like, I'm a fucking child. You are an adult. Like, she's got to be 35 by now. Like, why are we even having this conversation? This is so crazy. This is not worth it. This is not okay.
Yeah.
How many more things have to happen? Like, we're not doing this. So finally, that was over. And like a month later, she starts dating Chris, who's my dad now. And they had known each other for a while. Like, they both worked at AOL and had been friends, and they both had been going through bad relationship stuff. And so they start slowly dating and whatever. And luckily, he's great and
He's
still around. But
really nice, yeah.
but there's just like this pattern. And my mom, that like, she was never fucking single. I don't know when she was actually really single in my upbringing. And this, like, I think had such an influence on me because there was a lot of responsibility I had to pick up as a kid, and like these fucking terrible men who are abusive, and like, how do we even get here? And that I was like, get me out of here. Like, it's the second I can, I'm fucking moving far, far. And like, I'm not doing this anymore. I've raised all the kids. I've gone through all the trauma, and like, I just need to fucking go be my own person now. And so, yeah, a lot of other stuff in between. By the time I'm almost 20, I move away to Arizona for the first time with Holly. Her and I moved there. She has a boyfriend there. And so we moved together. And it was really wild because, like, I'd been saving money, but I've never really been great at money. And she was, like, honestly, like, holding on to my money to help me so that I wasn't spending it so that we could get out there. And we show up, we have our apartment paid for and all of that stuff. Neither of us have a job lined up. We just know, like, we want to get the fuck out of New Mexico. Like, we go grocery shopping, and I had $78 to my name. I had no idea how I was going to pay for anything else. And we literally bought ramen noodles, and we both were vegetarian. So it was like tofu, rice milk, ramen noodles, green beans in a can and like some soy sauce and potatoes. That was like how we lived. And she got a job right away. And then within the week, I found a job as a hostess at this really fucking bomb Italian restaurant that's no longer there called Riazzi's. It was totally fun, amazing spot. And then, yeah, I was like, I'm fucking free. And it was hard, like, the first several months, like, I didn't really have time to make friends, and Holly had this built-in boyfriend that had built-in friends, and, like, they were all really great, and I really wanted to hang around them, but, like, they were my only connection into that, and by the time I got home, they were, like, old cute couple in bed, and so it was I didn't really get clicked into that group for a while or as easily, and I did wanna move back home, like, by the holidays, I was, like, really homesick, and my parents were like, "If that's what you want, we'll help you." And I came back and somehow all of a sudden, I don't know what it was, but like I got clicked in and I found the friends and like all of a sudden I was like living my best life. And I was like, "No, I'm
Donna?
here." Yeah,
Okay.
in Arizona. So I stayed in Arizona for almost 7 years. Had my first like real love there. I was like obsessed with him for like 11 months before we actually ended up like ever even kissing. It was like this long stretch thing that by the time we were together, like I was already so in love and had our whole life planned, and he wasn't quite there yet. And somehow we were together for 3 years. And like, I think we grew a lot together. And then we also like grew apart, and he just wasn't very open. And I'm like very open. And so like, he was real sweet and kind, like, while we were together and, like, when things were building, and then he just grew very distant, and then it was like, I had to beg him to, like, hang out with me once a week, like, that was too much, and I was like, I'm your fucking girlfriend, you should wanna hang out with me more than once a week," and then it finally just came to this boiling point where I was like, "I feel like I'm giving, like, 75% in this relationship, and you're barely giving 20, like, and we both should be giving 100," and he was like, "I agree." And I was like, "I really hate this, but I don't know if this is working, and, like, I see my life with you, but I don't think you see your life with me," and so, like, we broke up, and I've never felt so much pain in my life. Like, that was, like, one of the most devastating hurts of my entire life was that
Like, when
breakup.
people say heartbreak, like, your heart actually
I, like,
hurts.
couldn't breathe. I just
Yeah.
wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
I've never felt depressed in my
Yeah.
life, and that was, like, big time depression.
Yeah.
But, like, it was all, like there was a lot of beautiful,
It's a part of the
amazing
experience.
yeah,
We
like
all have to go through that.
yeah, I have no hard feelings for him. It was, like, really hard because we had all the same friends and, like, there was just so much, like, good stuff that happened, and, like, that group was very incestuous, so it was, like, very normal for people to, like,
Always.
stay in the group, and it was really hard for me to be around him, and by the time we broke up, his house was, like, the party house where everyone was going, and so it was, like, I don't really wanna show up there because I'm confused. When we're together, we still have this chemistry, and, like, it feels like he wants to get back together, and that's confusing for me. And so it got to this point where I like texted him and was just like, I it hurts too much to be around you and I just like can't and I hate that. But like I don't see myself getting over you if I keep coming around. And
Mhm.
so and we also worked at the same place together. So it was like he was just always around and like I worked in the coffee department, the coffee and smoothie area. So he'd come and get his daily coffee and I told him I was like I'm going to have to pretend like you don't exist. And so I
Yeah.
was like cold. I wasn't friendly. Like what do you need? Great, here you go. Bye. Like I
Mhm.
just had to be fucking cold to him because otherwise, there
Yeah.
was chance for flirting, and that, like, I could never heal from him. It was hard. It was really hard. And then he ended up moving away, and, like, right before that, we kinda had this, like, sweet little moment of, like, we care about each other, we love each other, and we wish, like, all the
Good
best
luck
things
to
for each
you.
other. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that was, like, really nice. That kinda felt like some closure to me, and then there was a little bit of, like, checking in, like, once or twice a year maybe, which was nice, and apparently he hates me now. We still have mutual friends. Or maybe not hates me, but, like, I don't know, has hard feelings towards me, and I think it's just probably because I was so cold to him in the end, because I had to, because he was confusing me.
So, who hates Amber?
I know. Well, and that's what our mutual friends were saying, like, "Really? You hate Amber? Okay.
Okay.
You're the weird one here." So, yeah, I ended up moving back to Colorado after my 7 years there, and, like, my 20s were so fucking great. Like, Arizona was so great. I had all, like, some of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life. So much exploring of, like, self and growing and, like, learning to love myself. Lots and lots of fun parties. first time I ever tried mushrooms, like first time I ever did ecstasy, like listening to good music, like fucking up all the time at my job. And like, I don't know how I survived it, but it was like some of the best times. And I'm so grateful because it was so different than like what anyone else in my family had ever had, you know, like everyone had kids young and got married young and like that was their
And
life.
they were miserable.
And they were so unhappy. Like, and like didn't know who they were. And I was like, I'm gonna do it so differently. Like I'm
Mhm.
not doing this, I'm breaking the cycle. Like I was a cycle breaker before I knew what it was to be a cycle
Same.
breaker. And I think that I'm like so grateful for that. And if you're like teenager listening to this for whatever reason, like fucking don't get married and have kids right away if you can help it. Like get away from your hometown and go discover, like it's so hard and scary, but like that's when you're brave and you could do anything. Like you could really do anything. And you can fuck up and like get back up easily. Like go explore who you are. Go explore the world in any capacity, whatever that means to you.
Mhm.
Like go figure out who you are without all your comforts that you were raised in and away
Mhm.
from all the people that you know, because I think it's one of the best things anyone could do for themselves. For me, it was like the best thing I could have ever done. And I would not do it any other way. If I could do it again, I'd do it all again. Like so fucking
So
cool.
fun.
So fun. But my sister started having babies and I
Okay.
like was kind of like my aunt was so important and influential to me that I was like, I don't want my nieces and nephews to grow up like not knowing who I am. So I ended up moving back to Colorado. At this point, like my mom and stepdad had moved to Longmont, which is outside of Boulder. So like a really beautiful, much like better area in Colorado. And I was just like, oh, this is what I want. Like, get me out of the desert. Like, I've just lived in the desert for so long. And Colorado's still technically high desert, but
Yeah.
it was just so much
It's more
beautiful.
green
It's
and
so much more
mountainy and
green
yeah.
there. Yeah. And so I decided to leave Arizona and come back to Colorado. And like I lived with my parents for the first like 9 months, and like had some friends like move from Arizona with me there. Like over time, they all were trickling in, and so I ended up being roommates with one of my old roommates. We got a place together, and then like Longmont was like too small for me at that point. I was having kind of a hard time finding like the friends that I had in Arizona, whereas like these soul deep connections, these like mind exploring like
Yeah.
connections. I wasn't really feeling that with the people there. And another one of my best friends, Cheyenne, who I knew from high school, was going to be moving to Denver for her graduates program. Is that what it is? I don't know. It's the one after the
School.
bachelor's. I didn't go to college. And so I was like, okay, she's gonna be in this really busy 2-year program. Like, I'm not gonna see her living an hour away if I'm not in the city with her. And so we had spent like this was in 2013. We had like the most fun summer. This is where Joey and I became besties. And the three of us, like every single weekend I was down there, I'd spend the night with her at her house, and Joey would spend the night. And we were just like wild and feral and get super drunk and have a really good time. And I was like, this is the soul connection like I've been craving so bad. So I was like, I'm gonna move to Denver. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I've done this before and that's okay. And at the time I'd been working for Whole Foods for a really long time. I was already at my second store, working at a flagship store, which is kind of a big deal in the grocery world. So it was like if you work there, you can work anywhere. It's like the busiest. And she was really close to a cute little downtown Whole Foods, like a really small, tiny store. And I was like, that's my next door. I want to go work at Capitol Hill. That would be really great. So I decided I was gonna move there, and she said, "You can stay on my couch while you find a place and like just get your work transferred." So I waited for an opportunity, applied for the first job, which was like the quote unquote porter, is basically the janitor of the store. I'm like, I don't fucking care, just get me in Capitol Hill. And I just have to like work there for 6 months and then I can go into a different department. And so I slept on her couch for a month. My like second day there, I'm like meeting this girl and she's like, "Where do you live?" I'm like, well, I live on my friend's couch right now. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but trusting." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's interesting. I have a roommate moving out and like have a room that's gonna be available in October. Like, I know we don't know each other, but like, would you be interested in checking it out?" And like the price was right. And it was in this really cute town called Baker. or not town, but like part of
Mhm.
Denver that was like a really hip spot. And I was like, sure, cool. And so I went to check it out. It was like this super cute, like old Victorian house. Like, it's my favorite house I've ever lived in. And I barely lived there for a second. It was so pretty. Like, bills were included and everything. I was like, yep, that's where I want to be. So I moved in there. And like, as I'm moving in, the other roommate, Alan, he's like, just to warn you, like, people only move out here out of this house when they find their future significant other. Like, I was literally replacing a guy who was
Oh, it
getting
gave me the
married.
chill.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, men suck.
Shut up, Alan.
Like, yeah, you don't know me. Like, I don't really have a great track record with boys. Like, I doubt that's going to happen. And so this was October 2013. And literally the beginning of November 2013, I met my husband, Mark. So
What is with this house?
yeah, I don't know if the same fate was true for the other two. They had been living there, like Alan had been there for 7 years, and then Alyssa had been there for like 3 years, and I was there for 1 month. So maybe it's just the room. I don't know. So I met Mark at one of like our favorite local bars that was like 2 blocks from the house. I was there with Alyssa. She had just gotten back from New Orleans. We're like catching up on her trip and everything. And she goes outside to have a cigarette. So at this point, like right before this, I made a friend at work and he and I had the same birthday and he had such great confidence. Like I was so jealous of him. He's like, he'd show up to work and he's like, today I'm going to fall in love 3 times. I'm like, you go. Like that's brave. I don't know how you do that. I would love to do that. Let me fall in love. And he's like, well, why can't you? And he was amazing. His name was Sebastian. He was also so hot. I had such a crush on him. And so I was like, you can fall in love with me if you want to.
Right here.
He also had like the best parties. They were so fun. Um, and so he's like, yeah, well, why don't you have a boyfriend? Fucking cool and beautiful. And like, what's the deal? And I was like, I don't know. I kind of like get allergic to talking to guys and I get like really scared. Like if there's a boy that I think's cute at a bar or whatever and he catches eyes with me, I immediately like look away. Like it just kind of scares me. I don't know. And he's like, well, there's your problem. Like you're looking away when they're checking you out and that is telling the guy like, don't fucking talk to me. And I'm like, well, you're right. You're right. So he's like, I challenge you. It's birthday week. Like, you go out there and you be new and you start practicing your eye contact. I'm like, okay, that scares the shit out of me. He's like, yeah, and if the eye contact's good and you have a vibe, like, go say hi. Like, all you got to do is say hi. That's all you got to do. It's not that big of a deal. You're making this way too big. I'm like, okay, like, you're so brave. Like, how do you just do this? How do you just have this confidence? So that's what I did. I took his advice. And the same week that I met Mark, I had 5 other phone numbers that I got from guys. And like some of it was literally just practicing. Like it wasn't even like I really like this guy, but it was just like I'm just
Put
taking the
myself out
challenge,
there.
just doing it. So Mark, that's kind of how we met. He's sitting in the booth next to me with his roommate and friend Jacob, and I'm sitting with my roommate and friend Alyssa, and we're chatting. And I'm looking and like we happen to catch eyes and I like immediately freak out and I was like, eye contact, eye contact. And I look back over and kind of smile. And then I'm like, I'm so cool and confident. And then she like goes to the bathroom or something. And then he comes and like all confident slides in and is like, hey, mind if I sit here? And I was like, yeah, come on down. And so he like sits in the booth and it's a really loud bar. It's like really hard to hear. And so he leans up and he's like, hey, what's your name? And I'm like, hey, I'm Amber. And what's your name? And he's like, hi, my name's Brick. I'm like, Brick? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Interesting. Okay. Turns out he thinks he said, hi, I'm a prick. I don't believe that he said that. I think he's just playing on the fact that I didn't hear him, but because I've never heard him call himself or anyone a prick. So we ended up just really getting along. Alyssa was outside and she like texts me like, hey, you good? I found my fuck buddy out here and he's talking about going back home. And it's this boy that she would see in time to time and hook up with. I should call him fuck buddy, even though they never actually had sex. They just would hook up. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing great. Totally go home, have fun. So she leaves and Mark's like, well, you come hang out with us if you want at the table. I'm like, sure, sounds good. So I move over to his table We end up like chatting all night, like having a good time. I'm laughing a bunch. There's like one of those guys that like is selling flowers that just goes into random bars and he's like, flowers for the lady. And Mark buys me 2 roses. And I'm like, oh, that's a good sign. And then he's like telling he's getting ready to go on this trip to Costa Rica with his best friend Mike. And Mike just survived cancer, so he's like bought him this trip to like take him to go like celebrate his recovery and his life. And I was like, oh, like I love that. That's so sweet and kind. So I'm like already starting to kind of swoon a little bit. Like he's being,
How old were you?
I had just turned 28. So yeah, we end up like closing down the bar. Like we're like all the last people in there. And he's like, you want to ride? I'm like, well, I only live like 2 blocks. That's really not a big deal. And he's like, let's give you a ride home. I'm like, okay.
Let
So
us drunk drive you
I
home.
know. Well, and so Jacob is driving and we're like laughing and my phone was dead. And so he's like, here, you should take my number. And I'm like, well, I can't really take my number or take your number because my phone is dead. And I was like, but how about you can call me and leave me a voicemail with your phone number and then I'll know to call you later.
Not just a text.
I mean, this is 2013. I don't know. Maybe we're still talking on the phone a little bit.
Maybe.
And so he calls me and he's like, hey, this is the guy you met at the bar. Hope you
Do you
like
still have the
me. It
voicemail?
was on an old phone, so I
Oh,
don't think so. I
sad.
know, it'd be really great. And I'm like in the background, like, yeah, you like him. Like, don't forget, I'll come.
Wow. Cute.
And he's like, can I walk you to your door? I'm like, yeah. So he walks me to my door. We make out for a second. And then he's like, maybe I'll call you when I get back from Costa Rica. And I was like, maybe I'd like that. And then he leaves. And the next morning, I'm like downstairs getting coffee made. And Alyssa's bedroom's right next to our kitchen. And her fuck buddy boy comes out. And I had met him one night before, like a month before that. And so I'm just like making small talk with him. He's like smoking like an e-cigarette in the dining room. And I'm like, oh, e-cigarette. And he's like, yeah, like I've always smoked cigarettes, but one of my buddies like just survived cancer. So, trying to like quit or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just met a guy last night who just had a friend who survived cancer. Maybe it's the same friend, like kind of making a joke. I'm super new to Denver. I think I live in this big city. Like, what are the possibilities? And he's like, maybe, like, who'd you talk to? I was like, he said his name was Brick. And he's like, huh, I don't know. And I was like, yeah, his friend's name was Mike. And he was like, yeah, that's my friend's name. And he's like, Brick. Are you sure it was Brick? Like, what does he look like? And I'm like describing him. He's like, yeah, I don't know any Brick. And I was like, well, he's there with his roommate, Jacob. And he was like, yeah, that's Mark Weaver. And that's my roommate. I was like, yeah, when he said Brick, I really wasn't like certain that that was actually his
That was
name.
his roommate?
That was his fucking
You guys
roommate. One
were
of his
trying
roommates.
to hook up with roommates.
Isn't it? But like totally by chance. And they didn't know that
Crazy.
so we're like at this like hip bar next door is this music venue that used to have the same owners. And so a lot of people go back and forth and they're both always super busy.
Mhm.
So like just because you're there doesn't mean that your friends are in the other room. Like, and so they had no idea either. And so
They didn't come together.
no,
That's
no,
funny.
totally separate.
But also, like, when you hang out with the same group of people, you end up in the same
Yeah,
spaces anyway.
totally. And like they knew the owners of those places and stuff, so they were frequent people for sure. So yeah, totally random. I was like, oh great. And I was gonna go tell him that I think his name's Brick. And like so embarrassed or whatever. And so sure enough, like later that day I get a text message from him, like, hey, so I heard you thought my name was Brick. And I was like, yeah, that's totally what I heard, but I knew that that wasn't right. He's like, well, I'm Mark Weaver. It's nice to meet you. So we ended up like talking
First
and
and last name.
yeah, so funny. We're like chatting a bunch, flirty, and he was gonna be leaving for Costa Rica in 2 days, and he ended up asking if I wanted to go on a date before he left. And so I was like, yeah, and I don't think I'd ever really been on like an official date really before
That's
then.
sad.
Like I'd had hookups
You
or
were
like I
28?
was 28, like an actual like
Nobody took you on a date?
not like a real date, I don't think. Like
You poor girl.
yeah, I don't really think. Like nothing that was like an official date, you know? And
Yes, also, it's not like you're on Tinder.
yeah. Well, I had done some of the online dating. So I guess those are kind of like dates, but those are more like to see if you
Yeah,
vibe
totally.
or not. Um And so we end up like we meet at this dinner spot that was across from where we met. And it's this pho spot. It was so yummy. And like we're having such a great time, like chatting. He's asking so many questions about me, like very interested and dialed in, asking like I'm you know, all the basic questions. I'm like, do you have any siblings? And he's like, yeah, I have one brother. I'm like, oh, I'm one of seven. So he's like, "Whoa, that's a lot." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's like divorced families and stuff." And so he's like, "Well, tell me about them." So he like wants to know
Cute.
like everything about my family and who they are and in what order. And so I'm like telling him everything. And like fast forward, like he ends up sending he gets a postcard for me in Costa Rica. Never ends up sending it because the mail was weird, but ends up giving it to me later. And he names all of my siblings and step parents and everyone's name is on there. Later I'd found out that he had gone to the bathroom and, like, wrote down all the names so that he would remember everyone's names. He's like, "Well, I kinda cheated," and I
Stop!
was
That
like,
makes me wanna
"Even
cry.
effort" like, my best friends don't even know my
I
siblings' names
don't.
unless you're like like, they know Melody and they know Michael because those
Yeah.
are my siblings that I mostly grew up with, but, like, I have so many more siblings, you know? And, that was even sweet. That's a huge effort to even try
That's
to remember
yeah,
that. So I
that's
was really
insane.
impressed by that.
Why do you have a pen and paper also? Love
Well,
it.
no, on his phone notepad.
Okay,
Yeah,
still,
no.
like, cute.
We weren't that far back in history. So, like, we have a really good time there. We have delicious dinner, and then we end up going to this, like, super shitty dive bar that he used to live in that neighborhood, so he knows it very well, and I'm new, so he's just showing me all the places where we play skee ball. We get real silly and drunk and end up, like, taking it back to my house, and I'm like, "I'm not having sex with you. Like, not doing this first time sex thing. Like, I know my worth now." And he's like, "Cool, great, no worries." And we ended up making out for like 3 fucking hours, like hot and heavy. And I'm like, "Okay, we gotta have sex."
Okay, I'm horny now.
Like I'm ready for this. And so we end up having sex. He spends the night. He was like so sweet the next day. And then he's like, "Well, maybe when I get back, like I can take you on a nice like fancy date since no one's ever taken you on like a fancy date." I'm like, "That would be really sweet." And so he goes home and then, like, obviously, we're not gonna be able to talk while he's in Costa Rica, at least at this time, like, you don't have
Yeah.
service, you don't have international stuff. He goes for a whole week, I don't hear from him, I'm, like, wondering like, we were, like, Instagram friends or whatever, so I'm, like, stalking his Instagram, trying to see, like, if he's posting, what he's up to, but he doesn't like, we don't really hear from each other, and then I knew the day he'd be getting back, so I was, like, kind of, like, anticipating, like, how long would it be before he called me, you know, because like, my experience, boys would, like, play games and they'd, like, really wait it out and make you, like, spiral and wonder. Oh, Mark gets home, takes a nap, wakes up from a nap, and fucking calls me while I'm at work, leaves me this cute voice message saying that he's been thinking about me and wanting to know, like, if I'd like to go out on a date. Like, same day that he's back, he immediately calls, and I'm like, okay, great. And like, you know, we had ended up having sex, so like that kind of creates a little bit more pressure sometimes. And like, is he thinking about me too? And turns out he was thinking about me a whole lot. And so, like, we go on a really nice fancy date, like, get dressed up, really fancy, like, yummy food and drinks. And, like,
Were you nervous?
I was so nervous. I was so fucking nervous and, like, so excited. And yeah, it all just felt, like, really different. And, like, he owned his own house, which was also, like, something I had never really experienced. And like, I felt like he really had, like, a lot going for him, which, like, also wasn't the experience. And also, like, I was so terrified to talk to guys before. Like, I was practicing eye contact and, like
Does he have ex-girlfriends?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And, like, he was at that time was still really close with his ex that he'd been with for, like, 7 years. And, like, there was even at one point where he was like, "How would you feel, like, if you ever met her or whatever?" And I'm like, "Well, if you guys are friends, like, I don't really care." Like, I think I would be okay with that, and, it might be a little weird, but, like, I have a lot of friends who are, like, friends with their exes. I don't necessarily think that, like, it means anything.
I don't.
I don't feel I don't feel threatened by that. And there was almost a time that we were gonna meet, but she actually was chickened out and, like, walked away and didn't wanna meet me, so I was like, "I'm the good
I
one."
met all Kurt's exes before I even met him, which is such a small town bullshit Grants Pass situation. I'm like, "The bartender at that place you bought a house with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
This is fucking" yeah.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
glad, like, we're not walking around towns where we're gonna run into exes,
No.
'cause, I mean, that he never really had that experience because I
Yeah.
didn't really have a lot of exes, and they definitely weren't local,
It's nice to be
and
far
so
away
for
from all
him,
that.
like, it was his stomping ground, so for sure. So, yeah, basically the rest is history. We literally spent every single day together after that. We're so attached to each other. A month later, he took me on, like, our first trip away to these really beautiful, like, nice hot springs in Colorado and Buena Vista, like, resort style. Like, I was like, "I'd never been treated like this or, like, gone to these things with no one has ever wanted to do this with me." Wow, and, like, totally, like, he's taking care of it. I'm
Aw.
like, I, like, don't know if I'll ever get used to this. I have.
Yeah.
Um,
More, please.
happy, thank you, more, please. But I was like, it just was all so new to me, and, like, we got into the hot spring, and he was like, "Yeah, I told did you get your key to your locker? I told the girl to, like, go give my girlfriend her key." And he's like, kinda looks at me, and he's like, "I hope it's okay I called you my girlfriend." And I was like, "Yeah, it's okay you call me your girlfriend, like, I love that, absolutely." And so then we were, like, official, and within a month, and, like, I basically was at his house all the time. Like, I had this super cute house that I just moved into that I literally lived in for a month and paid rent in for 6, and, like, moved in quickly with a house full of boys. It was hard at first, but I girled it up real good, and eventually all the boys ended up moving out, and yeah, just it's been a long ride. I can't believe we're about to celebrate 10 years married together. Like, the wedding proposal was so cute. You sent on, like, this whole like, spur of the moment scavenger hunt that he, like, created there because it was,
Mm.
like, pieces and clues that, like, only existed in this space that he wasn't planning on getting because we got moved into an even better room, like, last minute, and, like, he just was always so thoughtful and so caring and so loving, and, like, I was literally everything to him, and, like, we've talked about this before where it's, like, that could be, like, really gross and cringe, or you could get really turned off or feel really smothered, and I've never felt
With the
that
wrong
way. Yeah,
person,
I've
no.
never felt that way with Mark, and even still, like, it doesn't feel that way at all, and I just love him so much, and I'm so grateful for him, and I'm so fucking proud of him because, like, before me and it's like, you don't wanna change somebody, but I think, like, you change for the better sometimes when you're with the right person, and,
Yeah.
like, that's all I've heard from people who have known him forever of just, like, the man that he's become being with me, that it's like, that feels really special that,
And you've
like,
changed.
and I've changed so much too, and just, like, I've watched him grow, like, I've actually been, like, in a space where I can, like, honor who I am and, like, speak up and be
Yeah.
fucking heard, which obviously was, like,
Being loved unconditionally gives you so much freedom to be your, like, actual
totally,
self because
yeah,
you're not hiding any parts of you that you think are unlovable because you feel
totally,
loved.
totally, and, like, and that it didn't happen right away at first, of course, like, the first year, and even too, like, I know there's a lot of reservation, and even into our marriage where it's like I'm having these triggers come up and stuff, and, like, luckily, he's been so kind and sweet, and I know it's not easy to, like, be with someone who's been hurt and damaged and abused in the past because, like, it's not their fault, but to have someone who's, like, so soft and gentle and, like, understanding when those things do happen and, like, not like, "You just need to get over it," or, like, "Why is this still affecting you? You need to work on yourself." Like, it's never been like that, and I'm really grateful for that because you can't control when you're triggered by those things of the past, and, like, and how they come up, and especially when you're intimate with someone and you're finding safety in someone, like, it's when you're gonna be most triggered, and to have someone love you through that, even though, like, you've been hurt is just such a reward. Like, I'm so grateful, and moving here to Oregon has been, like, huge for both of us because Mark had never, like, moved anywhere before. He moved a little bit when he was a kid, like, with family. His dad actually, like, they moved to Germany for a little while too, which is wild. Not at the same time that I was there, but yeah, just kind of wild parallels. But he's mostly, like, lived and grew up in Colorado his whole life, where he knew everyone and everything was safe and comfortable and, easier. And I know it's not been easy for him moving out here at all, but, like, I think it really helps you grow to become, like, a better person and to find yourself, which I don't think he ever really got the chance to do in his upbringing and stuff. And, like, he cares so much about the people around him that and he's still working on that of, like, caring about himself as much as he cares about
Yeah.
others. And I'm just so proud of him, and I feel so lucky to be his wife and so lucky to be loved by him. And I'm excited for, like, what our future brings because the past 12 years together have just expanded us both. And, like, I think, like, we just love each other more than we ever have. And, like, we're still literally figuring out stuff about each other, like, to
Yeah.
this day. And that is really cool to me that we could be together for 12 years. Like, I never thought I'd be with someone for 12 years and that, like, we're still growing. And the fact that, like, he's so supportive of, like, everything that I do and believe, even though he grew up, like, practically in a cult and, like, a lot of this stuff could be scary to him, but he, like, is, I think, being healed through me exploring that in that way of, like, seeing how this stuff actually is real, like, and really beautiful too. And, like, even the other day he was saying something about because he's like so he's a manifesting generator in human design, and he just recently, like, this last week was saying something and it, like, fucking instantly manifested, and he, like, surprised himself. Like, they went to go see Nine Inch Nails this last week, and the day before he was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool to go see them. Like, if we could find tickets for, like, $50, that would be awesome." And literally found tickets for, like, $55. So then they went, and then they were out there, and he said,
Where was it?
this was in Portland, this is
Crazy.
last week, and then LCD Sound System was playing in Bend, like, the next day, and he's like, "It'd be pretty cool if we could find it for, like, $20 or something like that," and then they found him for, like, $25. And he's like, "Boom, like, look at me." And he's like, "My wife says I'm a manifesting generator." But, like, his company is like, the people he's with is like, "That's not real." And he's like, "Bitch, then why am I making this shit happen?" I'm like, "Believe in yourself, babe. Like, look at this. Like, you're doing it. Like, you literally could create your reality. Like, look how fucking silly and fun and easy that was." And if you, like, don't let them tell you this isn't real. Like, you're proving it to be real. They fucking stopped at Seven
Same with
Feathers.
some of your sad thoughts and stuff. It's
Exactly.
all real.
Exactly, like, you create your reality, like, look at you doing it right now. You can change everything about your life that you want. You can heal yourself by just, you have this special power that not everyone has. And then they stopped at Seven Feathers, and they were like he said something about them making money. Jacob fucking won the jackpot twice and left with $500, and he spent, like, $20.
Crazy.
And Mark's like, "See, man? See, I told you you're gonna, like, fucking make money." And so it's just, like, cool because, like, the people around him and the people that he grew up with and his family, like, have made him to believe one thing, and seeing him, like, expand his mind and, like, open himself up to these other, like, possibilities and spirituality in this way, and it, like, being meaningful to him, like, he's so much more, like, open and sensitive and, like, a beautiful soul in the world than he ever was when we first met because he's just, like, working on himself.
Yeah.
And that's so fucking
And
cool.
open.
He's open, he's done therapy, he's gonna do more therapy, he's doing, like, these wild healing sessions, and he watches, like, Chris Corsini's Moon Circles with me all the time, and he's like, it means something to him now, and he just sees so much more widely and open, and, like, that's fucking cool too because I don't need you to believe everything that I'm doing or participate in everything that I'm doing, but the fact that, like, you're trying to understand it because you care about me also, like, means so fucking much to me, and that, like, you're seeing results from it is even, like, better. That's so fucking cool. And, like, Moonbees literally wouldn't exist if he didn't believe in the dream too, and
Yeah.
he believes so much in it. And
Mr. Moonbees.
Mr. Moonbees. So, if you've been around, you know the rest of the
Yeah.
story, because you've been along on that ride.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of, like, who I am at my core, and I think for a lot of us too, is, like, how you got here to this very point. And yeah, I'm just, like, even though I've had all these, like, wild and crazy experiences and have had this, like, trauma and these things, like, like chills even thinking about it. Like, I think it's a big part of who I am and why I do everything that
Yeah.
I do and how I was led to do what I do. And like, I really do believe I'm so much stronger. And like, I refuse to go down quiet anymore because
Same.
I was like not believed for so long. And I know, like, update on that too, like, my mom and I definitely have a lot of healing, and she is so, like, she blames herself all the time and, like, tells me literally even up to last week, like, "I know you guys have forgiven me, but I am working on forgiving myself," and she's in therapy for everything, and, like, I can't go back and change the things and everything, and I was like, "I forgive you, but it, like, doesn't change the fact that this happened either." Like,
Yeah.
it's not totally your fault, but, like, it really sucks that I wasn't believed, and, like, hopefully you can believe other victims going forward
Yeah.
because victims' voices matter, and it's really hard to speak up when these things happen in the first place, let alone, like, having to fucking fight and advocate for your truth is insane. If you've been hurt like this before, I'll put some
Resources.
resources in the show notes and know that there are people who can help you and advocate for you. And sharing your story is really important. And I think that it helps other people feel heard and held in their experiences as well. And so I really hope that my sharing this super open, vulnerable, hard part of my existence is helping somebody as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It helps me to even see you differently, even though I feel like I
Mm,
knew a lot of the things. It's like, I don't know, just makes you make even more sense to me now.
yeah. Thank y'all.
I think my big takeaway towards the end of that is just like it's such an honor to love and be loved and it's so
Mm-hmm.
healing and there's someone out there for everybody and I truly believe that no
I
matter
agree.
even if you're a piece of shit, there's probably somebody else that's a piece of shit that wants to do that with you. There's someone for everyone. So,
And don't fucking settle. There's so many losers out there that aren't right for you. Like, I think watching my mom, like, just try to, like, make every relationship work, like, was like, as much as I want to,
yeah,
like, find the love of my life and I do believe, like, in love and stuff, like, I'm
never gonna settle.
no, and, like, I
Same.
I mean, I would for, like, a short while, but I never had, like, a serious boyfriend that wasn't great except for the one that I didn't know was a total monster when I was 16.
Yeah, that doesn't
So
count.
that doesn't really count because 'cause you're also 16, but, like, I always knew right pretty like, within a month, like, if the guy was a loser or not. Like, I didn't really pour a lot of energy and love into too many people, although I had a lot of projects along the way
Yeah.
that I thought I could help and fix or whatever. Like, I got the ick pretty quick and fast and moved through that. So, yeah, don't settle. Don't make excuses, and everyone also can, like, heal and grow, but, like, only they can choose that for themselves too. So don't feel like you are gonna be the answer to fixing anybody because
Yeah.
that's not the case. Like, everyone has to choose their own journey and choose themselves.
Yeah. Do you want to pull a card?
Yeah, let's pull a card to end that. There's so many more stories that I'm sure will come up, but
Yeah, that's how I felt after. Is I like, oh, I forgot this and this person and this like thing.
yeah, there's so many more stories, and even right now, I'm like, "Oh, I didn't end that part," but you'll find out
Whatever.
one day, it's fine. Okay, cliffhanger. So I have 2 that fell out, and the top one is, "I trust the change unfolding in my life," and that is just, like I feel like this is kinda great because this really is, like, my motto in a way that I think I live by and have ever since I was like in my 20s at the least, but like I never know exactly how life is going to turn out, and I've taken a lot of we're going to squeeze our booties.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh my god.
Okay, let's end like this.
Okay. Um okay, that's better. You're taller than me. This is cute. Yeah, I feel like moving to Arizona with $78 left to my name was like kind of crazy, but I fully fucking trusted that my life was going to work out, and it ended up being really fucking great. And moving out here, I knew that magic was ahead, and even like in the struggle of like opening a business and running my business for the first time, in a time when like my husband's job has changed so much and it's been so uncertain, like I really do trust that everything's always working out. So that's a perfect card for me. And then the second card is the rhythm of my breath directs the rhythm of my life. She's so hot and sexy. Her nipples out.
Zodiac tattoos.
Yeah, so good. And I think those two go together like super well, you know, like when you're feeling stressed or unsure, like just slow down and take some deep breaths and trust what's unfolding.
Hell yeah.
Okay, thank you guys so much for listening and being here. We love you so much, and we're so excited about it. Almost looks like you got some cute pigtails. Yeah, thanks for being my best friend and partner on Waking Up the Witch.
I love you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I love you, and I'm so proud of you. And we're so proud of you all too. Bye.
This episode has been produced by my husband, Curtis Burgess.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Waking Up the Witch.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And don't forget to head over to the link in our bio on Instagram for all the ways to connect with both Amber and Taylor. And go to moonbeeswellness.com for all your self-care and witchy news. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Ow. Ow.